Police warn of a surge in phone scam cases. Fresh appeal by Chief Secretary for people to respect national anthem. And America braces for yet another hurricane.
Good evening. We start tonight with new crime figures showing that more people are still being duped out of cash over the phone. Police say that during the first 8 months of the year, con artists swindled around $190 million for more than 600 victims. That's a 20% jump on the same period last year.
No, they're not cutting a police cordon. These officers were just launching a campaign to prevent the public from being taken for a ride by phone scammers. Deploying a bus parade across town today, the force was out and about informing people of the increasingly sophisticated tactics con artists have been using to get unsuspecting victims to part with their hard-earned cash. Police figures show that from January to August this year, there were 684 phone scam cases, incurring losses of around $190 million. Compared to the same period last year, that's a 20% jump. One of the cases saw a victim lose $30 million. 70% of them, or 490 cases, employed the tried and tested ruse of pretending to be government officials. They would accuse the victim of a crime and demand a large amount of money to clear their name. But they didn't stop there. The scammers would then ask the victim for their family's contact details, but warned them not to contact their relatives first. They then phoned their relatives, informing them the victim had been kidnapped and demanded a ransom. Police revealed that the vast majority of the victims were under the age of 30. Which is why they're taking their message to secondary school and university campuses, although not by bus, just through hosting seminars. In 2016, police handled 656 phone scam cases, involving more than $200 million in losses.
The Chief Secretary for Administration has asked football fans not to boo the national anthem during an upcoming game next week. Matthew Leung's appeal comes after the song was jeered before a match on Thursday. As Rachel Leung reports, he's warned it could damage Hong Kong's reputation.
Boos were heard before a friendly international between Hong Kong and Laos in Bangkok 2 nights ago as the national anthem started playing. Some fans could be heard cheering the song, while others made inappropriate hand gestures. This would be illegal on the mainland after a recent law which took effect on October 1st, making disrespecting the national anthem a criminal offense. Under the national anthem law, attendees at events where the anthem is played are required to stand straight and remain solemn for the song. Still, Hong Kong has yet to introduce legislation on the national anthem. With another game against Malaysia coming up, senior officials called on fans to refrain from booing when the match takes place next Tuesday at Hong Kong Stadium. Chief Secretary for Administration Matthew Leung expressed his disappointment at the behavior of the fans. Speaking to reporters today, he said that disrespecting the representation of the country is totally unacceptable, and such action will only damage the SAR's image. The city's number 2 official said the national anthem law will be implemented at an appropriate time. The Hong Kong Football Association has warned local fans to refrain from any disrespectful acts towards the anthem, as it may lead to football's world governing body, FIFA, imposing penalties. Rachel Leung, TVB News.
Overseas now, and mandatory evacuations and curfews have been ordered as the U.S. Gulf Coast braces for another hurricane. Hurricane Nate is gaining force and is expected to make landfall this weekend. Nate has already drenched Central America and is being blamed for at least 25 deaths there.
There's a new turn in the battle for birth control and religious freedom in the U.S. as the Trump administration is rolling back Obama-era rules. More employers will be able to opt out of paying for contraception for employees, and sweeping religious freedom directives could override many anti-discrimination protections. Alan Buckner reports.
The new policy on contraception allows employers to opt out of providing no-cost birth control by claiming moral or religious objections.
This is a prime example of how when you elect a man who is very hostile towards women, that he's now in office actively pursuing an anti-woman agenda.
In the last couple of years under Obamacare, it has shown that we have had the lowest abortion rate in America since Roe v. Wade. And that is because women are able to access all different forms of contraception that work for them, that they can now afford.
But the move was celebrated by the Christian right.
What it does do is create a narrow and targeted exemption for those who cannot, in good conscience, provide this as part of their health care plan.
The American Civil Liberties Union and the Democratic Attorneys General of California and Massachusetts have already filed or plan to file lawsuits against the action. Trump's Religious Liberty Directive instructs federal agencies to do as much as possible to accommodate those who claim their religious freedoms are being violated. It also declared federal law banning sex discrimination in the workplace does not protect transgender employees. The move is popular with Trump's evangelical supporters, but Human Rights Campaign, a gay rights organization, depicted it as a wish list for the religious right and an assault on LGBT people and others. Alan Brookniat, TVB News.
Staying in the U.S., White House isn't elaborating on U.S. President Donald Trump's calm before the storm comment, refusing to say whether it meant action against North Korea or Iran was imminent. Trump made the comment during a photo op with military officials and their spouses. Russian media says North Korea is preparing to test a long-range missile, which it believes can reach the west coast of the United States.
Danish police have found the decapitated head, legs and clothes of a Swedish journalist who was killed after going on a trip with a local inventor who built his own submarine. The body...
Catalonia's regional president, Carles Puigdemont, met with a newly formed independent commission for mediation.
Coming up on the broadcast. Government to officially submit to LegCo late this month its border control arrangements for Express Rail Link. Bangladesh pledges to continue its support for Rohingya refugees. And Team USA stay alive on the road to Russia 2018.
Welcome back to TVB News. The government will officially submit proposals to LegCo later this month for the co-location border control arrangements for the high-speed rail link to the mainland. In a paper today, the government said calls for other ways to carry out the border controls were unrealistic. Wenna Wong reports.
With the Legislative Council summer recess at an end, many controversial issues will soon be moving forward again. One of the most disputed issues is perhaps the government's proposal for a co-location border control for the Hong Kong-Shenzhen-Guangzhou Express Rail Link. The proposal is scheduled to be officially tabled to the Legislative Council on the 25th of this month. In a paper submitted to LegCo, Secretary for Transport and Housing Frank Chan reiterated the official line. He said setting up a co-location arrangement at the link's West Kowloon terminus is the only way to go. It is the best way to help Hong Kong move forward and provides the greatest convenience for passengers, he said. Chan added he's noticed people coming up with alternative plans. These include passengers having to go through two border controls, one on the mainland and one in Hong Kong, or having the joint border control moved to the mainland instead. Others have also suggested carrying out immigration procedures on the train. But Chan calls all of these proposals unrealistic and does not make use of the rail link's full potential. Wenna Wong, TVB News.
A police car chase in Kwai Chung ended with a crash this morning. At around 11 a.m., an unmarked police car began chasing a private vehicle. This was because the driver was suspected of talking on his phone while driving. The pursuit lasted for about 4 kilometres before the vehicle crashed into a truck and then mounted the curb. Officers later found 20 packets of suspected cocaine inside the vehicle and discovered multiple licence plates in the trunk. Both the driver and a passenger were subsequently arrested. They were 19 and 20 years old.
Also on the road, a man died in a crash at the Kaohsiung container terminal early this morning. The accident happened at around 4 a.m. The container truck was leaving the parking lot at the ATL Logistics Center when the accident happened. The vehicle reportedly clipped a railing before crashing into a roadside rubbish skip. The 51-year-old driver was rushed to Queen Margaret Hospital, where he was later certified dead.
A 59-year-old man has become the 5th case of Japanese encephalitis recorded in Hong Kong this year. He lives in Healthy Village, North Point. Environmental health workers carried out anti-mosquito measures and cleared up stagnant water in the area today. The man works at the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge border crossing. The Centre for Health Protection says he started showing signs of confusion and abnormal behaviour on September the 11th. He was taken to Eastern Hospital and is now in a stable condition. The man had not travelled outside of Hong Kong.
Overseas again, and Bangladesh's Prime Minister has pledged her government will continue to support the nearly 1 million Rohingya refugees who fled neighboring Myanmar to escape violence. As Tony Saban reports, United Nations officials are becoming increasingly concerned about the plight of the Rohingya in both Myanmar and Bangladesh. Saudi Arabia is rejecting a United Nations report that criticizes the Saudi-led coalition fighting rebels in Yemen for attacks that kill or maim children. The Saudi ambassador to the UN says the information is inaccurate and misleading.
The Sultan of Brunei threw a party last night for a few close friends. Hassan al-Bolkiah, alrighty, kicking off with some footy tonight.
Yes,
we
are.
Party.
And it's very shiny. Also, the magic continues for Cleveland in Major League Baseball. But first, the United States routed Panama 4-0 to keep their World Cup hopes alive. Teenager.
And that brings us to the end of our news. Thank you for watching.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye-bye.
Good evening. The local weather was dry and hot today. The northeast monsoon continues to affect the coast of Guangdong. It was generally fine over southern China. Up until 5 p.m., today's temperatures ranged from 27.9 to 31.7 degrees, and the relative humidity was between 62 and 81%. The current temperature is 29 degrees Celsius with the relative humidity standing at 77%. So Freddie, how's the weather tomorrow? Mainly fine, hot and dry during the day tomorrow. Temperatures will range from 28 to 32 degrees, becoming cloudy with a few showers in the following couple of days. Tomorrow's air quality health index will range from low to moderate. The maximum UV index forecast for tomorrow will be about 9. Now to the latest global weather update. And that's the weather. Have a lovely evening.